The detection of the Omicron variant is giving both Republicans and Democrats new political ammo. Democrats are using it as a new reason to pass the Build Back Better Act, saying they need to infuse the economy with more COVID relief money and support existing programs on top of the nearly $5 trillion already allocated for the pandemic. Meanwhile, Republicans are debating whether to use the threat of a government shutdown to stop the federal vaccine mandate from going into effect. Now, that's been avoided. They came up with a deal, so that's not going to happen. But still, it will be interesting to see how this new variant is volleyed around politically. Joining us now to talk about it is David Dulio with Oakland University's Political Science Department. Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm well, Kevin. How are you?
Good. It's, I think there's only 5 cases of the Omicron variant in the United States, but already we're figuring out how to take it away from the medical community and put it in the political community.
Absolutely, and I'm reminded of a comment that I believe it was former President Obama's staffer, Rahm Emanuel, who went on to be mayor of Chicago, but he said at one point, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And it seems like that's what we're seeing.
This is interesting on a lot of levels to me because whether you're looking at the national politics or the politics in Michigan, we have a governor's race coming up in just 10 months, 11 months from now, and we're going to see how this plays out. Right now, Michigan has a really big problem with the Delta variant and, top in the country in number of new cases. Hospitals are full right now. And now we have this new Omicron variant that is making its way here. And it looks like while a lot of people aren't being hospitalized, and it may not be a big threat for deaths, we don't know yet, but it also looks like maybe the vaccine may not work against it, and they may have to create a new one. But it's going to open up all those political debates about should we stay home, should we mask up, should we shut down, and these were huge issues the first time around, and we're kind of looking at things a little different in Michigan anyway this time around. There's not a big rush to shut things down.
It certainly doesn't seem so, nor at the federal level. It seems like there might be, at least at the federal level, trying to do some marginal changes to policies, right, whether it's for travelers that are coming into the United States or a continued mask mandate on say planes and trains, right, federal travel. But we don't see that in Michigan. And, I think that the governor's folks would say that, well, it's different than it was a year ago or even earlier in that we have the vaccine, we have therapeutics, we have other tools to battle the virus. But I think her critics would turn around and say, yeah, but we've got just about the same number of cases per day or per week, and the positivity rate is skyrocketing. How come there's a different tone now? And I think it's a fair question.
Yeah, you could say if the numbers are right that the unvaccinated folks are the ones that are filling up the hospitals, you could have a stricter rules or shutdowns for unvaccinated to try and push the vaccine. It's hard to tell if it's hard to tell if we're looking at this thing through the lens of public health or politics. And if we are looking at it through politics, it's really interesting as the public's opinion changes, how much the political leaders' policy changes.
Sure. I'm a bit of a cynic, Kevin, and so I see politics everywhere. I think it is injected into everything. And, I wish that wasn't the case, but time and time again, we see examples of that is the case.
So Democrats talking about this new variant as a reason to pass Build Back Better Act and maybe even increase its size, saying they need to infuse the economy with more COVID relief money. How do you think that would play out with the public infusing more aid, more free money?
Well, on one level, I imagine that is to some extent popular, where people would see expanded benefits for those that need it. But at the same time, I think people are probably saying to themselves, been there, done that, and what has it gotten us? Increased inflation, and that's something that people see every day when they go to the gas pump or the grocery store. And I also don't think that doesn't seem politically smart if Democrats really do want to get that Build Back Better bill passed, which there's no guarantee that that's the case now with Joe Manchin from West Virginia and Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona, two Democratic senators who are they continue to oppose it at its current size. Making it bigger would only, I think, make them even more reluctant to vote for it.
Yeah, and they talked about preventing the shutdown, which they got a deal done late last night. But when you talk about a shutdown, it reminds people of how much spending is going on and how much debt we have. And now they're talking about, the debt ceiling, by the way. The Treasury is saying, hey, that has to get raised by December 15th. It's December 3rd now. So the idea of raising the debt ceiling so that we can borrow more money, I think those two things weigh on people a little bit. It makes them take pause to think about, well, how much money should we be spending?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. I think many Americans look at what happens in Washington, D.C., and they say to themselves, or they say to their family or friends, hey, look, we have to balance our budget at home. How come the federal government doesn't have to do that? And what is it with, when are we going to hit $30 trillion of debt? And I do think that the vote to raise the debt limit, the debate about whether to vote to raise the debt limit that's coming in less than 2 weeks now, is really going to be tough. I think that, we sort of saw a bit of brinksmanship a couple of months ago when this issue came up, and the two party leaders, Senator Schumer and Senator McConnell, struck a deal. I wonder if that's going to be the case this time. In part, McConnell signed off on the deal a couple of months ago to give Democrats the time that they might need to do something through a budget reconciliation bill. We've heard nothing about that. We've heard nothing about the debt limit in the last couple of months, and it's going to just sort of pop back up on everybody's radar as if it was coming out of nowhere when that's not the case. And it's going to be, I think, more brinksmanship. We're going to go right up to the deadline, and we'll see if we get a deal.
Well, the midterms are crucial, and there's no doubt both parties have their eye on that date. How big of a role might this new variant play in that, and how big of a role might this debt limit play in that?
Well, I think every vote that is taken from this point on is going to be fodder for the midterm elections for those members that are up for re-election. Of course, that's every member of the House of Representatives and about a third of the U.S. Senate. So, for instance, you mentioned the deal to get the short-term spending bill passed, right? That included a vote on the mandates, right? The federal mandates. And
right.
So now Democrats are on record as being for those mandates. Republicans are on record as being against it. Those will get used in campaign commercials in 2022. And every vote that is on the debt limit, every vote that's related to Build Back Better, the variant, however that might come up in congressional voting, that's always going to be fodder.
The variant's going to be interesting to watch on, and I think it's going to spread quickly. I don't know how bad it's going to be, but I believe it's going to spread quickly. And I wonder if Democrats will go to that playbook of, hey, we won in 2020 on the pandemic. Let's put that front and center, and let's make that what we talk about for the next year.
They could. I think the political dynamics of the pandemic have changed significantly since then. So we'll see how it all plays out.
All right, David Dulio, Oakland University, we appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Kevin.
All right, we'll be right back. You're listening to The Great Voice.